Elsa, Supreet, and Tanya, heartiest congratulations. 10 years old,
Thank you.
you all are now mommies, 10-year-old mommies to this foundation. And you've gone places. Elsa, I have known you for at least 14 to 15 years now, and I have seen this transition and I've seen your passion and your hard work for this. So, today, please join us on this exciting rapid fire kind of a round where all three of them are going to answer some questions about what they feel about Red Dot Foundation and how has the journey so far been. So let's begin. Okay. So the first question for all three of you. What's the one word you would use to describe Red Dot Foundation's 10-year journey? Supreet.
Evolution.
Kill. A journey.
What?
A journey. The
A
10
journey.
years has been a journey. It's a lot of learning, unlearning, relearning, constantly innovating, never sitting still. So, a journey.
A journey. Okay. And what's the most surprising thing that you've learned while working on a project?
That time is never enough. You know, when I first started, I was so afraid, how am I going to fill my time? I thought it was going to be just a few hours of my day. I don't think 24 hours is enough, honestly.
I think working on projects has really made us realize that people, even though they've not spoken about their trauma, they want to talk about it. And our work at Safe City and Red Dot Foundation is not just safety, it's giving them the power to speak, it's giving them the power to find their power in life again.
Elsa, I want to come back to you. You said you did not envisage that, it would take it would occupy your life in some sense. You started it as something you would give a few hours for. At that level, when it was just passion for you, what made you take that leap and say that I'm going to get into this full-fledged, from a few hours to a full-fledged activity? What pushed you?
The stories. Every single woman I knew had a story to share. And that made me realize, gosh, it's a big problem. And it's not going to be solved quickly. It really needs a lot of time and effort, a lot of deep diving. And I was not equipped at that time. So I had to actually go down on the ground. And we can hear later from Marie Paul and some others how we really started. Because I came from aviation, and aviation is a totally siloed industry, very high flying, very five-star lifestyles, and then, the problems on the ground are completely different. And so it took me a long time to first understand what I was getting into.
She comes from aviation, you come from the creative background. Supreet, what? You obviously don't deny you are an author. You are so much into creativity. What made you take this plunge and decide that it is going to be for you?
So I come from beer, and then I come from aviation, and then I've come from the creative world.
So you've traversed worlds, and how?
Yeah, so like Elsa said, it's been a journey for us for 10 years. Mine has been a journey since the time I started. But why here? I think I am a survivor of child sexual abuse and sexual harassment. And I met Elsa right after my sexual harassment case, which was in London. And she became my closest friend, my mentor, my everything. So when she had an idea, I would really listen and say, okay, fine, there's something. And when she told me about this idea I was like, at some point I'm going to go back to United Breweries, where I did face sexual harassment, and I'm going to take a workshop on sexual harassment with them.
Which you did.
We went back to them, and yes, we managed to do
That's fantastic. Why not a round of applause for this?
So Vinaya, you have to hear this story. So it was the startup phase of Kingfisher Airlines, and startup, everybody is like short of space, short of everything. And I was told there's a girl coming in, she's been moved from the UK and she's here, we don't have space for her, can you share your desk? And I said, okay, fine, because I'm always accommodating. So I said, fine, and that was Supreet, and we became best friends. And little did we know, because at that time we weren't thinking about sexual violence, sexual harassment, there was no POSH Act. So, yeah, we just became really good friends, and then, ultimately we
So,
are on this journey.
this is something that I think we'll be more interested in. This is the undocumented part of the background story that both of you don't seem to have talked enough about. Tell us, how did this equation come into being? How did the two of you just, come together and decide that you're going to do this?
So my friends from the Swedish alumni program are here. So it was during that program, I was still at Kingfisher, where the Swedish Institute invited me to be part of their management program on sustainability, a word we never used that time in 2012. And I said, are you sure? My role is actually network planning. I'm planning the route network. What has it got to do with sustainability? And they said, no, we want you to come. So it was a year-long program, and at the end of the year, Kingfisher had died. And we had to do a project that could be implemented in our company, but my company was no longer around. And the project that I had thought of was mentoring women to achieve their career potential, which was something I knew. And now Sheryl Sandberg has a word for it called lean in. And I said to my batchmates, many of whom are here, I said, I don't want to do a paper project. Can we do something together? And they all stepped up. But then, in our last module in December, somebody in Sweden thought to tell me about Harass Map Egypt. I don't know why, it had nothing to do with Lean-In. And I said, oh, that's a cool project, but not urgent in my mind. Little did I know that on returning, we would have this awful incident, and then all the conversation was around that. And I said, you know what, mentoring can wait. We need to address this issue. And I used to walk with Supreet on the Lokhandwala back road, and I would chat, and we would chat, and whatever was swirling in my head, we would chat. So, when it came to registering the company, so Safe City, for those of you who don't know the history, Safe City actually came first in December 2012. And then all of it was, okay, how do you make this work and stuff like that. And we registered the organization 2 years later. And so I invited Supreet to join me because, as a Section 8 company, you need 2 people. And I didn't want to get in somebody who didn't vibe with me. And she was already what we called a super volunteer. So I just said, come on board. And it's never been, we've never looked back. Now I really want to bring in Tanya at this point because Tanya and I worked in Jet Airways, our first airline. We started off as flight attendants.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tanya used to be my, the second senior most on my team. And then she went on to join the call center industry as head of HR and business development. And one day out of the blue, she sends me a mail and says, Elsa, I want to join you. And I said, do you know what I do now? I'm not in the airlines anymore. And she said, no, whatever you're doing, I want to join you. And so she joined.
But Tanya, leap of faith for you. I mean, HR, and you're doing so well, completely different corporate sector, to a field which is, just because you knew her and you're friends with her. What happened?
So Vinaya, with Elsa, and we go back when Jet was with just 4 aircrafts, just starting off, I learned to believe in her and trust her. And I remember when I met her and I asked her and she said, I said, whatever you're doing, I know you're doing something which is going to create a ripple effect. Okay, it's going to change so many lives and I want to be there. I didn't know what she was doing. And very often she used to say, the magic will happen. And I just believe in that word. And I think today my team and all of us just believe in that word. We just follow her blindly. We know she will make the magic happen and we will do it along with her.
Wow, that is something. You 3 strong women sitting here supporting each other. There couldn't have been a bigger statement for sisterhood, really. Absolutely fantastic. A round of applause for the 3 of them. Let me come to the next question. I'm sorry, this was supposed to be a rapid fire, but there's so many interesting stories that it will be exciting to listen to them rather than just have one word from the three of you. I can't miss the opportunity to have you speak today. What's the best advice someone gave you that still motivates you in your work?
So I don't think there's any advice anyone gave us. Okay, we have kind of figured our own path because we come from different backgrounds. We were not accepted in this sector for a very long time. I mean, people were were a little wary of us. I mean, who are these women coming from aviation and liquor background and here? But
It is important to know what were the kind of responses that you got when you said, because these are, why I ask you is also because this is common across board. When women start something, it takes people a while to take them seriously and to say that, okay, they will bring about a change somewhere. So it's important to know what was the resistance that you faced.
so there was resistance. One, people were not very happy talking about sexual violence when it came to funding or, understanding. I think it took a very long time for a lot of people here in our country to understand what we were trying to do. So that was a fact. But also the fact is that this is a trivia about Elsa and me at least, that in whatever jobs we have done, we have written our own job profiles. We've never been given a KRA. Okay, these are your key responsibility areas. So you stay within these four lines of a A4 size paper. Both of us have written our own job profile. So for us, it was about doing it, right? We were passionate about it. So there was resistance, but we didn't really stop to understand or to figure it out. We just kept on going. We were like a bull in a china shop. And we were like, we are going to do what we have come here to do. So we just did it like that. I think now when we sit down and we think in retrospect, we're like, okay, fine, this could have happened and this could have happened. But I think it's just been a belief in ourselves, what we want to do. And it comes from solidarity. And I think there's nothing more powerful than that. But what gives us motivation every day is our team. A lot of us are survivors. The resilience of the women and girls out there who want the change and who want to take that stand for that change. And it's the men who want to be allies. These men and boys and other genders, they all want to change. It's just that they didn't know better or they were never spoken to. That motivates us.
Absolutely, absolutely. How about you, Tanya?
I would say, coming every day with passion, with dedication, and I think each one of us do that, no matter what the challenges are. And whatever advice people give you, they tell us, okay, it's not going to work here. It's not going to work in this village. It's not going to work in this city. I think just being there, just listening deeply, and knowing that that community will take action.
How wonderful. What do you have to say?
So my mom's there, and she has two pieces of advice, I would say, that she has told me and us throughout the years. One is, never beg, borrow, or steal. That's absolutely my mantra. The second one is, aim for the stars, at least you'll land up on the top of the coconut tree.
Auntie, she's almost near the stars now, not the coconut tree. That's fantastic. Okay, so if Red Dot Foundation were to expand into a completely unexpected area of work, Elsa, what would it be?
It's hard to say because we always have 101 ideas. I know the US consulate is here, the Netherlands consulate, and several other consulate partners. We are always full of ideas, and they always help us, and many other partners in the room help us fulfill. So we've done books, we've done podcasts, we have a couture line coming up next year, so stay tuned. We've done mentoring programs. So it's really hard to say, but maybe, we would like to, at least my role is to taking it global. So maybe really fast tracking this prevention of sexual violence. I'm in a hurry. I can't wait for 200 years for it to end. It has to end in this lifetime of mine, not somebody else's lifetime. So I'm in a hurry.
Well, that's technically still not completely different from what... That's the whole point. You are so driven and so passionate about what you think that even when it comes to alternatives, you're only thinking of higher and higher in what you're doing right now.
But we bring many dimensions to our work. So we want to do more on urban planning, and we've already done a lot with the police in Faridabad, the city of Chennai, Can you imagine if 100 police commissioners work with us or 100 city governments? That's the vision that we have for 2030. Our vision for 2030, yes, it's more of the
Vision for
same
2030,
thing.
yes.
It's more of the same thing, but it's fast tracking it. So we want to improve the lives of 1 billion people by 2030 in 4 countries: India, Kenya, Brazil, and the Philippines. And 50% of that is in India. So yeah, my team sometimes feels like they are on a treadmill, but
I would say more like a rocket, really. This isn't treadmill. Tanya, what do you have to add to the rocket speed?
Absolutely. I think there are, like, we work a lot with youth. We have so many volunteers. Over the years, we've had over 3,500 volunteers. Any given time, people reach out to us. So there's definitely something we are doing right. And so many want to do something different. So we just have to reach out there, invite them, make them part of our family.
Supri, what about you?
Something absolutely offbeat.
Yes.
We stay away from politics, but I think maybe we need to launch a party of all women and get representation on every table.
Oh, there'll have to be a lot of collaboration on that
Absolutely, absolutely. You going to be our representative everywhere. So you are taken.
as well.
On
What
board.
an honor. Thank you. I already have my seat reserved here. So if you could magically solve one global issue overnight, Supri,
Apart
which
from
would it be?
violence, because that's something that we are working on, right? Violence, definitely. I would like to end violence across the globe. I think enough and more women and children and men and other genders have suffered. We are seeing Palestine, we've seen Ukraine, we've seen Iran, Iraq over years ourselves. So I think violence is one, but if I was to go off what we do, then I think I would say climate. Probably take the earth back another 200 years. Earth, not technology or us, of course.
Okay. Tanya, how about you?
I think, like Elsa said, we've touched on so many areas, but I think working with children, and especially differently abled children, that's very close to my heart. And giving them agency, giving them voice, giving them, especially maybe through technology or through any kind of support to address mental health so that they are part of the society, they are part of the system, and can, kind of live their life without any discrimination and, not live with fear.
Elsa, you want to take a shot at overnight? What is it that you'll solve? Though you've already said that it's violence just a while ago.
I think if there's a way to make sure that political leaders, the ones who lead our countries and make decisions for us, are really held accountable, and maybe the realization from themselves that they need to do more, on every front, whether it's climate, whether it's gender, whether it is economic inequality, they have the power. And if I would change that, I think that is where we should start.
Okay, that should start with decentralization, my one penny. Okay, describe your proudest moment at Red Dot Foundation, but in 10 seconds or less. We've had many, many long answers now. Enough.
This very moment, 10 years.
Okay, that was a good one.
My last airline, Kingfisher, didn't even last 10 years.
Ah, see. Tanya, 10 seconds, and your time begins now.
Yeah. I think our Powerful Safety Champion program, which we've also won the Anthem Awards for.
Okay, thank you. 10 seconds up. How about you?
Multiple times. I have 2 mentees through all our programs. One, a sex worker's daughter, is married with a small little girl. She's finished her education. And the other one has opened her own beauty parlor, and her parents have allowed her to do what she wants till the age that she wants to do it. And she's from a community who don't allow it. So
Wonderful. What a beautiful story. The way you have touched lives and have impacted them. Absolutely amazing. Okay, another quick answer again. What's one moment when you thought, this is why I do this work?
Okay. So I was taking a workshop in school which was a government school. So children would come and get mid-meals and all that. It's that school in a very faraway place within Mumbai. And there was this girl who was really sad, and she would hold on to her friend and sit in the class. And I remember I had just come back from my sadhana of 1 month, and actually I didn't want to do the workshop, and I had told Elsa, you know, I can't meet people right now. She said, just one workshop, nobody will talk to you. And this girl is the only one who caught my eye. She reminded me of my time. And then I sat with her and spoke to her, and she came and she told me that the person she studies from, her tutor, was sexually abusing her. And I said, okay, can we speak to your parents? And coming from a community which is so close-knit and they don't really talk to anyone other than within their families, she said, no, I'll go and speak to them. And this girl is all but 8 years old. And the next day when I went back for and she was not smiling, she was sad. And you know, next day when I was getting into another class, and there was this long corridor in this Govandi school that we were in, and this girl ran from there, and her, you know, clothes were like flying, and she was smiling, and she came and she hugged me, and she said, I told my mother. You know, she got confidence to speak to her mother that this was wrong, because she didn't even know it was wrong, because it was an old man doing it who's like a, you know, teacher for the whole community. And my mother has said that, you know, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And I thought, okay, this is why I do my work. But no, she said, I said, so you're not going back to that man? She said, no, Mama has said you take your sister and go next time, so that you're not alone with him. And then I said, no, there's still so much work to be done, right? It gives me goosebumps, but there's still so much work to
I
be done.
have goosebumps as you speak about it. My God. How about you, Tanya?
I think, you know, being whether it's in Maharashtra, whether it's in Delhi, Chennai, Goa, I'm right now in Goa, the issue is the same. And we realize the power of the communities. They want the change. It's just that they've not had agency or not had the opportunity or lack of knowledge. So I think that keeps me going. That really makes me feel people want it. We just have to be the agent to help.
Nelsa, how about you?
I still remember this workshop. An 8-year-old said, I now know it's not my fault.
I had to say this to myself when I was in school, and I fought a very long battle myself, and I am still ostracized by a part of my family, despite being the most highly educated, despite being at such a senior position where nobody else, not a man, not a woman in my entire family has reached. I still face it. So yes, not my fault. Thank you. So with this, we come to the end of this wonderful round. Thank you so much. This discussion was riveting. It was extremely touching, and all of us had goosebumps at one point in time. It was very personal as well. Thank you so much for being a part of such an intimate conversation. And thank you so much to 3 strong women. More power to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Vinaya.